Morgan. So I watched the pilot and I was just blown away. So when I was asked to join the cast, I couldn't have been happier. And also, I think everybody would agree, I mean, there's something similar about the two shows. David Tennant and Andrew Lincoln, they're both brilliant leading men. You know, they both carry the show, and they both, you know, show us all the way. You know, they're the first guys on set, the last guys to leave. They really take it and lead from the front. So that's what's similar about the two shows. I think it sort of ends there, the similarity, but the two leading men were great to work with, yeah.
This next question is from Aaron Lozano, and the question is also for you, David. In this last mid-season finale, do you think the governor would have acted any different in the final battle at the prison if Lily hadn't shown up with Megan's dead body, or did her death not factor in at that point?
Yeah, I think it factored in it massively. I think, you know, he had one plan. I mean, I think the one thing about the governor was he had a plan to just take over the prison with the hostages he had, but it all went wrong. But the final thing that tipped him over the edge was seeing that girl that he'd invested in. You know, he sort of had this thing with Penny, which had, you know, been very tragic for him, and then he manifested that into Lily as well. And I think it was, I think that was when she brought the baby up, brought the girl, and that really tipped him over to the edge. Yeah, and I think that's what that red mist that the governor has when it just comes down and he takes no prisoners. That's when that happened for him. Yeah, definitely.
In fact, a couple of these questions are actually, you want to give them to her straight to you, David. We have plenty for all of you guys, all right? I'm sorry about this, all right? Now we have, this is from Rose. This is from Rose Duncan, this is also for David. Were you disappointed in any way at the final end of The Governor?
No, I thought it was a great end. I mean, you know, the one thing about The Walking Dead is we all know that, we see our friends going all the time. We know that no one's safe. You know, that's part of being on it. And it's really hard for all of us when we lose our friends, you know, and that happened in all the seasons. So I sort of knew that was coming. I didn't know how it was coming. And I thought, you know, the way I was when I got those episodes, I was just so over the moon about it. And I mean, Scott Gimple, who's now the showrunner, you know, he's sort of, they don't let us know that much in advance, but I knew there was going to be an episode with just me in the heart of it, and then there was another episode, and then that final episode. So if you're going to go with a tank, you know what I mean? Go out with a tank, that's what I say. But no, it was a very, like always, when, you know, and then Scott, you know, the whole thing with Herschel, and I love Scott, you know, he's one of my best friends, so it was really hard, and for all of us, whenever that happens, it always sounds a bit weird when you talk about it as an actor, but it's really true. I mean, you're losing people who you really bond with, and I think on this show, more than anything else, you know, because we go through it, you know, down there in Georgia, it's a wonderful place to work, but it's also tough, you know, the weather's tough, and the conditions are tough, and we're always, you know, knocking 10 bells out of each other, or fighting with each other, and that takes a lot of trust between actors, you know. If you're gonna go at someone with a sword, you need to know that this person is a wonderful person, and so it's great to know. You need to be able to fight with people and really trust them, and sort of, you know, that they'll support you and stuff like that. And that's what the show has, is really great love, and not just with the actors, but with everybody back behind the camera. There's a lot of solidarity. So when we lose actors, or some of the crew go on to other shows, or whatever it is, it's really tough for us. It really is. It's like losing friends. And for the person who's going, it's terrible. It really is. And at my final days, Scott came down, Scott Wilson, and afterwards we just went off together and we played some pool and we just sat and chatted for ages. And it was tough, but I think as an actor, that's what happens to you in your life. You're constantly going from one job to another, but this was a really tough job to wave goodbye to.
In addition, The Walking Dead's governor and Doctor Who's Jackson Lake both have similar backstories. Loss of family leads to mental break, but ran in total opposite directions, with one becoming a psychotic tyrant and the other a selfless hero. What, if any, were the similarities and difference in preparing for playing those two roles?
No, I mean, you know, all roles that you prepare for, I think all of us would say, you know, you look at the backstory, you think about where that person's come from, what baggage they're carrying in their life. I think the difference really with us is the whole human race is facing a problem, you know. So any other show you look at, I think, what's my character's problem? What's he facing in the world? What are his demons? In The Walking Dead, there's a sense of solidarity about the human races. They're all just trying to survive as best they can. So that thing that they all had, that one objective, I think what makes the show stand out. You know, I think everybody can watch the show can understand that that's the one thing that all the characters have, is this real need and desire to survive. And the big question that everybody asks when they're watching the show is, what would I do in that situation? And that's what gives the show its frisson, I think, the audience, is they're constantly thinking, would I do that? I wish I hadn't have done that if I was in that situation or whatever, but they can identify with it. But as far as preparing for character is concerned, it's always the same. You just start with your backstory.
And this one's from Stephanie Baumgartner, also for you, David. That's the way they came right down the line. I warned him already earlier before. Sorry about that. Plus, they're playing for everybody. All right. Do you think that the governor could have ever decided to let the revenge go and just live the new life he found with Megan and Lily?
You don't want the governor to let the revenge go. I mean, that's not what he does. What's that? That's not the governor. No, there's no way the governor, you know. That's what I loved about it, was sometimes you thought, oh, he's going to let it go. He's going to let it go. He's discovered this little girl and their family in an apartment. He's going to let it go. He's never going to let it go. He's going to come at you. I mean, that's what you love about him, is you constantly think there's going to be a good side to him. And then, you know, I don't think Michonne ever thought that. No. But, you know, I think the audience did sometimes. No, he's hell-bent on revenge up to a certain point, you know.
This one's from Demian Watson, and this question is for all of you. What part of your character are you afraid of? Are you afraid of the most because it's too close to the real you?
Could you repeat that?
What part of your character are you afraid of because it's too close to the real you?
It's not me.
I think we need a therapist couch for this question.
That's a good question.
I just don't know how that equates to fear.
Well, if your character really likes killing people, then that sounds like something good to do on a Saturday afternoon. That might start. I don't know. I'm not an actor. But I think you guys you do have those when you're working on the character. Thoughts like that, right? Really getting into the character.
I wouldn't call it fear. I would call it it's cool. I think a similarity between myself and my character Glenn is I think we tend to be very strong-headed people. I really I don't know. I don't really I don't fold that easily, and I don't think Glenn folds that easily. So I'll take that one.
That's good.
I think the other thing, though, is that we all like to think of ourselves as what we would do in a situation. We always like to think of ourselves that, you know, when the chips were down, we'd step forward and defend people, and that, you know, if it all went wrong, that you'd be the guy saying, "Hey, hang on here." You don't know what you're like. So the whole thing about the show is, you look at, you know, it's people at the very edge, and people behave differently when they're tested. So, you know, there's my hero self that would like to perform something, but I don't know. Nobody knows until the situation happens. You know, you feel like you would like to run away from a crisis, but sometimes you're running towards a crisis. You never know. So it's very easy to judge people from a distance, and you don't know until you're in that situation. So that's very important.
Right, I think, you know, just like you said, I agree with you, and just like you said, you know, it's really cool. It's not necessarily fear. You know, there are definitely similarities, I think, with all of us and our characters. Our characters, in a sense, hold up a mirror to ourselves in small ways, in just a few ways. But it's like at the point of the most pressure, that's when people are the truest, you know, to themselves. And all the characters in this world, you know, they are at the moment of the most pressure. And they're all, you know, heroic, except for, but anyway, yeah, perspective, right? but anyway, yeah, I think for Sasha and I think it's about, you know, she puts on that tough face. She's honestly strong. That is what she is, but she also does put on that tough face, and I think that is something that I share with her.
Don't know if I'm afraid of it, like we said, but I do think we are similar in that way. Yes.
I guess for me and Michonne is she's more like this than me. I think if Michonne and Denai went up against each other, Michonne would win. But Michonne, like kind of like what Steven said about Glenn, she would not go down without quite a fight. And I'm somewhat similar, but just not in the same manner. I don't walk the streets with a sword. They're in my trunk.
What everyone said is it's not so much being afraid, but sort of it's sort of fun to dive into parts of yourself that you don't normally get to show or get to express. But I think there's a lot of things that are similar between me and Beth. Just in we both obviously love music and singing, and there's also the upbringing. I was also raised in a little small farm town and pretty religious family, and I had sisters, so I really have related to that relationship that, you know, me and Lauren or Beth and Maggie have. I've always felt like I could draw from my own relationships with my sisters to add that into that. So, yeah.
All right.